Hi there, and welcome back to History of Fleetwood Mac, my Fleetwood Mac collection. Today we're going to go into part two of my Tusk LPs and records that came out at or around that same time as Tusk. I've gone through most of the kind of what I call bric-a-brac, which is other stuff, again, like I said, between 77 and 79 when Stevie, Lindsay, Chris, Mick, or anybody from Fleetwood Mac had worked with other people. And so I've got much of that out of the way in part one and just a little bit of Tusk. Today we're going to go into the first singles that came from Tusk. And right off the bat, the first thing that came out was an advanced item. It came out before Tusk did. And this was a 12-inch version, promo only, of Tusk backed with Never Make Me Cry. This was out of the United States. Non-picture sleeve. Just pretty much the same thing, front and back, very simple. And the label. It's really neat. They very much kept with the style throughout all the 45s and the the LPs and the 12-inch and everything like that. Just this very simple, almost stand kind of style. What with the artwork that went into the album, which we'll get into. I mean, the label matches that of the back of the album itself. It just really kind of tied it in, and they really kept it very tight and fixed to keep the scheme, and nothing was way far off or anything like that. So kind of unique, which will bring me to kind of a point later that I find very interesting. But that in a second. After that, I believe these are pretty much in order accurately as well. This was a sampler that came out for Tusk. And we have the penguin that was used for Tusk. Funny enough, all the penguins that had been used prior were just, they look similar. This one is a little bit different, but it says Tusk on it. And it was one of the few penguins that stayed the same every time you saw it, including Tusk being written on it. The penguins used at or around the time of Rumors, a lot of them were the same poses and stuff, and it would say like Rumors above or below or something like that. But Tusk is the name is on that one, which obviously makes them stand out as the Tusk Penguin. So specific to that time. So this is another 12-inch single, promotional only, nothing on the back, consisting of 6 songs, a sampler of What Makes You Think You're the One, That's All for Everyone, Think About Me, I Know I'm Not Wrong, Honey High, and Sisters of the Moon. Oddly enough, not Tusk, which I always thought was kind of odd, being as that was the lead single. And again, simplicity, funny. We talked about this $2 coupon for that limo record. It's still there. And the standard label, the kind of oatmeal colors I refer to it. The LP, nothing too fancy. But again, stays in the color scheme and everything. The first picture thing we received was a promo for Fleetwood Mac Think About Me, backed with Save Me a Place. This is a really nice item to have, especially having this photo so large. And this photography was by Norman Seif, and we'll get a little bit more into that in a minute. It's the front photo, and this is the back, showing the Tusk album itself here. Again, promotional, and the record with our $2 coupon for the limo record. We're holding tight onto that, aren't we? This is one where it saved me a place on side 2, and that's all. Sorry, Think About Me on side 1. So not two songs per side, like the same thing, like one song, like a 45 was. So there's that one. Next up, we have kind of a unique one where we first start getting out of country. The first one is the Sarah single, which these are a little bit obscure, I would say. Get some more Norman C. photography. And this has Sarah clocking in at 4:37, 4 minutes and 37 seconds, mono and stereo, but in 12-inch format, and played at, I believe it is 33 and a third, not 45. Pretty sure. And then the label, just again that kind of oatmeal. I am pretty sure this was played at 33. Yeah, because this is only this part is the record. So it's just like a giant 45. What was really nice is that this one I've only ever seen from the USA, and there is one that is out of Japan. Of course, much nicer, very thick cardboard here. Same sleeve. Only this one consists of Sarah, Think About Me, Angel, and Tusk. Now, it too is basically a sampler out of Japan. This is the back of it here. It doesn't call it a sampler, it's just a 12-inch issue of Sarah. It is a promo, but it's not a sampler. Which I think is kind of odd. Actually, it's not a promo. It's just they released it in Japan like as such, so I've twice had to correct myself. So this is a nice one. So often you'll see these on eBay and you'll think, oh, it's just the American one, and just double check. Or if you're at a record store, be sure obviously you check the back. I don't know who wouldn't while you're out there, but again, if it's something you're looking for, this is really nice to find. Hard to come by, and definitely worth having in your collection. Really nicely made. To my knowledge, they were not made sealed, and they do not come with obi strips. I've only ever seen it just like it shows. This one, unfortunately, has a little wear on it, a few marks, which you can kind of see there, but otherwise, it's in really good condition. Yeah, I had that down as a promo in my sticker, but oh, let me just keep correcting myself. It says not for sale here. Nowhere on the record does it say anything, so my apologies. Let me just go back and forth on that. This appears to be a promo from Japan. So, yeah. So, those are some of the singles. So, going right into Tusk, I kind of touched upon it with the 45s. And, of course, we have this photo in the front that was chosen over a lewd potential photo of a male appendage in some form or not from either a male or a male animal, or just all sorts of ideas that the boys had for the cover work for Tusk. Supposedly also Stevie was promised the cover of the album, that's so they say, and she was very angry supposedly when she did not receive the cover photo. I don't know if that's so true. I think it's again kind of odd that it was chosen, that this photo was chosen, that something like this. But funny enough, whereas my feelings are different for Tango in the Night and Behind the Mask, this is completely 100% accurate and well put to me for some reason. It's an odd photo, but this is also an odd album. But of course, when you listen to it, it's a genius album, and when you look at the photo, it's kind of a genius photo. It just represents a multitude of things. And in my personal opinion, after the romanticism of horrible, awful breakups and terribleness that was happening between people, they were kind of sort of stitching themselves back together again, but doing a lot of this towards each other still. And you couldn't help yourself. I mean, I'm sure that even after all the success and everything that, going in the studio, making another album, we're still going to kind of be snapping at each other. But, pets are loyal and, they're still loyal to one another. But we're going to have a little outburst again, here and again. And to my knowledge, everybody's like this dog, Scooter, which was the sound engineer's dog, I believe, was a little nipper. I'm not so sure about that. Somebody else said the dog was just kind of playing around, just kind of like bite playing or something like that. But either way, it's a peculiar photo for the cover and the choice, as is the the name and the layout, which I've straightened myself out. I believe I have it correct at that it's Larry Vigone, who's the art director, who hired three photographers, being Norman Seeff, Jamie Odgers, and Peter Beard. Norman Seeff took this photo that was shown on Sarah that I just showed you, and the other photo. And then this photo, I believe, was by Peter Beard. Could be wrong. That could also be another Norman, but I think this was Peter Beard. And then we all know the inside stuff. This is definitely work done by Peter Beard. Now, the only thing about this picture, this is called from Los Angeles. It's either from Nairobi to Los Angeles or Los Angeles to Nairobi. The only thing that frosts me off a little bit about this is I don't want to go into anything because I don't want to ruffle any feathers, but there's somebody on here I'm not particularly, um, I don't want to say not fond of because I don't know this person, but let's just say that Carol here getting a large photo amidst John, Stevie, let's see, we have John, Stevie, Mick, and Lindsay, but we don't have any large photo of Christine. So we have a large photo of Carol Ann Harris. And I just always thought that was kind of messed up. This is about Fleetwood Mac. And even though I'm a huge promoter and person to stand behind the family of Fleetwood Mac, with regards to that, I just thought it was, it's a nice photo of her. It's actually a very beautiful photo of her. But, she played a part at this time with Lindsay and around this time with Fleetwood Mac. But I just thought that, she's a background character. And, Christine should have gotten a larger part in this photo, being as just the photos were larger of everybody else. I just thought it was kind of weird. But that said, Peter Beard is the one who does this work and all the collage work and photography. Not to say that the photography couldn't have been a mixture of, again, Odgers and Seeff, but I know that it's Peter Beard who put all this together, and Larry built the visuals and such like that. But this was Peter's kind of work, Peter's kind of style. And I love it. I mean, I don't know about you, but when this first came out, I spent hours poring over this. There's phone numbers on there. There's addresses. There's this little just little things written down. And I just remember spending so much time, but always wondering, why is she there and not why not Christine? What with the larger pictures? I mean, obviously the band is on all the rest. I mean, on the back we have a band photo. Norman Seeff, band photo, and then on the inner sleeve we have one of the first ones by Jamie Odgers. Now I had also brought this up with the 45s, being as nobody wanted to play together. Jamie kept trying to scout places to do a shoot with them. They kept no showing or doing something else, and finally Jamie was like, nope, you're all coming to my house or my place, my studio, whatever. And he got them all there, and nobody wanted to participate. He'd wrangle them all up, and then one would go outside or go for a smoke or something. And so finally he got Stevie on her own to lay down, and he spread the scarf to make it look like she's upside down. Christine to pose, John to pose, Mick to pose, and then put them all together, which is kind of his work ideal anyway, his kind of his vision. And then it was also noted that when of all the photos that got taken and pardon me, and sent to the people that approved everything, these were the photos that people liked the least, which I always found interesting because again, every piece that's here fits with the theme of them at this time. And I think it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. This being one of my favorites. And when you see my scrapbooks, I have quite a bit amount of these. And I really love this session. And just everything about the Tusk photos are fabulous. Some of these are currently for sale somewhere. I saw not too long ago originals of this for like some ungodly amount. And they keep getting discounted a little bit. And I just want to put it out there that if whoever has these photos for sale just wants to send them to me, I'll take care of them. I have a couple. Actually, I have 2 originals that are outtakes from this. But the ones that are for sale, they're like $7,000 or some crazy amount. But they're like 11 by 17 and something. And they're kind of like the works in progress, which is kind of cool. But yeah, so that is probably the most I'll show you of the album. I know most all of us have seen it, but again, some people coming into it. This is how the second disc looks. This beautiful, just kind of a background shot. This is the gazebo that most of, I believe it's all of this was being shot in. Again, Norman Seeff. Another Larry and Peter combination. And between this one and the other one, I have a really neat poster that I found at a record show one time. And I said, boy, that looks familiar. That looks like something from Tusk. And lo and behold, it's not either one of these, but kind of like a combination of the two. And it's a really, really cool piece that I'll never part with. Unfortunately, I've never hung it up, but it's super unique. And one of the rarer posters I've ever found of Fleetwood Mac. Unfortunately, it's bound already. It's, what do you call it, like when you put it on the styrofoam boarding, which is kind of a bummer. So has to be kept flat and kept safe. But yeah, when I do my posters at some point, I'll show that. So yeah. So again, the back, and then on the inside of this one, we have the empty room. And then we have the lone photo of Lindsay, which is really, again, for perfection, in my opinion, just really sums up Lindsay's work with Tusk. And funny enough, people call it kind of some people will say it's kind of like a Lindsay solo work, or Lindsay took too much control over it. And though Lindsay had a big hand in it and kind of overtake control, it wasn't for naught. It wasn't for, for Lindsay to be Lindsay. I mean, I just think this is such a well-crafted Fleetwood Mac album. And him sitting there kind of in solitude, just kind of thinking about what to do to kind of make it quirky or weird. Now, I know there are drugs involved and other things and stuff, but I just think this kind of sums up Lindsay and Tusk at the time. It's neither sad nor happy. It's just, it's just a visual that you can interpret any way you want. So those are the inside. So I'm not going to show the inside of any of the other copies that I have. And I ought to make this video go pretty quickly by showing the rest, because there's really nothing. Not by label, not by back cover, nothing. The only thing I found really funny is if you can see here, you can see that these are all old copies of Tusk. And these are reissues. And you can see there is a height difference, which is annoying as hell. I don't know why that is. It's a tiny, tiny little amount, like a fingertip's worth. But I noticed that was, I'm sorry. No, these are the old ones. Sorry. And the new ones. And I just thought that was kind of weird. obviously it had to be a little bit bigger because the sleeves, sleeves within sleeves. So most albums are 12 by 12. So you have to make it a little bit bigger to have that inside sleeve to be able to fit a 12 by 12 on the inside of that. So obviously all the newer ones were cut down and just everything is size 12 by 12. Nothing is slightly larger. So just kind of a weird observation. So after the US version is what I just showed you unwrapped, I have a version from Germany. And like I said, there's virtually nothing. There's no, kind of boring. At least the rumors, you could see on the back, there'd be the lines would be different, or just, it's dumb stuff nonetheless, but you could just see very visual differences. And boy, on Tusk, it's, when I'm at a record store or a record show and I'm looking through it, I really have to pull it apart to find out. I mean, this one does say made in England, but it looks no different from the part right here that says made in the USA. So a quick glance and I can usually tell, but oftentimes I will still open it up no matter what just to make sure that nothing on the inside is different. So again, nothing different. We have Germany and everything on the inside is the same. The only thing here, it just says here made in Germany. And then I have very little copies from other countries. Then we go kind of into the newer stuff. We have the re-release from Walmart in 2019 that was issued on silver vinyl. This is not open. So I don't know how nice the silver is, if it's a flat or kind of a see-through gray. Let's find out. Not doing too bad on time. Oh, my apologies, I did. So yeah, this is definitely this looks more gray to me, but yeah. And I think this kind of goes nicely with the aesthetic. It's funny how gray and brown can kind of go together. But I think that looks nice. So yeah, so that was Walmart 2019. And then we had, I think next up we probably had, I think the box set came out next. Box set came out in 2015. Yeah. So afterwards we had the box set. This was really nice too. And this was much like I showed you with the Rumors one, where it had the CDs. There was a DVD that was surround sound, not visual, but an audio DVD. And then we had the double album in here. And this was the large box set. And this was a really nice, a nice issued box set. So this is the Tusk box set. And then for, I don't know what's in my throat, I'm so sorry. And then for Record Store Day, again, shortly thereafter, much like the Rumors album, the extra demos and stuff like that were issued in the box set were released on their own as an alternate Tusk. And that's what this record is. And this also is two album. This is actually alternate versions, yeah. So kind of like the demos and such. So this would have come out right after the box set. And then as of 2024, there's that whole, like I told you, with Rumors and the White Album. This is Tusk from Barnes & Nobles that came out in a very dark blue, like kind of like a sapphire blue. Kind of, and I don't think, yeah, this is not open, but it's a really pretty blue, but not going to open it just to see the color. This was a light green, and yeah, I even left this one sealed, if you can believe that. And I think the other one, this one is, so again, I keep getting confused, they're Amazon version. So I have the Barnes & Noble, the Urban Outfitters, and there's the Amazon version. And I want to say the Amazon version is red vinyl, if I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong because I know that Barnes & Noble issued the live album on red vinyl, but I'm pretty sure that Amazon issued Tusk on red vinyl. But I meant to pull the magazine to show, and I wish I'd done that, but I've heard from a fellow fan who was featured in a magazine recently on Fleetwood Mac, that there is a copy of Tusk that has a whole bunch of, it's like splattered with pastels, and it's called the pastel version or something like that. And it's like they're actually also not very pastel, but it's like purple, orange, and it's splattered. It's like somebody, like almost like tire marks. It's just very random. And I've seen this. I've seen this a couple times. Once in the magazine, brought up by the person. One other time, and I don't remember where. And I did a lot of research. The company that supposedly put it out did exist, and don't. Of course, I'm not prepared and didn't think about having that, which is dumb. But I apologize. Maybe I'll find that out by the time I get to the Tusk CDs. Maybe I'll remember to bring it up then. But the place that supposedly made that album with that pastel stuff on it was a legitimate record press company, and they were no Tulip, that was the name of it, Tulip Records, and they were known because there was a little tulip on the run out, so people knew. Now this tulip was a subsidiary of somebody else and lasted for like 1 year, like a small amount, and in that year they put out like maybe a dozen records supposedly, and Tusk was one of them, supposedly with this weird pastel, like this, other stuff thrown. And they were all very limited, but the company was not set out to be a limited edition type of business. I've never seen one in the wild. I've seen pictures of them. Picture in the magazine, and the person I thought had it, the fan who's interviewed for his record collection, I thought he had it, and he did not. He had also only just heard of it, and I have been trying to track that down for a while, and because I don't know that it's true. I really don't. I want to know more about it. I reached out to people who were affiliated with that tulip plant, or I tried to, and the person who had founded Tulip or was responsible for it has passed away. Some people who had worked with that person who passed away didn't know anymore. Just trying to prove its authenticity and where I could find one. And yeah, I've been very unsuccessful. And when it's offered, people want like $5,000 for it or something, and I'm not paying $1 if I don't know that it's legit, where, how, why, what province it's from, etc. So, if you have any information about it, or know anything about it, or have one, I'd really be very interested to know. I've also heard, and I meant to also bring this up with the rumors, is that I've heard that there was a Tusk album printed on brown vinyl in '79, proper brown, like Tusk brown. I've heard that there was a rumors printed on yellow vinyl. It's a weird yellow, not yellow like the cover, but yellow like almost an orange yellow. And I've also seen copies of that printed at the time, printed like in '77. I've also heard when I get to Mirage, there's currently a copy of it on Discogs that Mirage was printed on red vinyl at the time in '82. So for Tusk, there are two elusive. I've never seen in person. I don't know anybody who has them, and anybody who has said that they have them. When I've asked them about it, they can't procure the item to show me or talk to me about. And that would be a brown vinyl Tusk and the pastel covered one. And the cover is the only variant for that tulip release. It's just got orange. It's orange, blue, purple, and like a yellow or something like that. It's just kind of almost like a flame pattern, but not like on purpose. Just like it just got thrown against this. And I guess also the whole point of me saying earlier about how we really kept a very tight ship with this color scheme is pastels don't go with it. It just makes no sense to me. It's just completely, with the Peter Beard and Larry Vagone concept, and then Norman Seef's work and Jamie Odger's, it doesn't match at all. And that doesn't mean anything. Art doesn't have to match, but it just seems very strange to me, very strange colors to put on it. If you were to put on rust or threw stuff at it that looked kind of, again, more greens even, or oranges or something like that, but pastels across the top, it doesn't make any sense to me, and it's peculiar. So sorry for that little tangent, but that was something I did want to bring up because I'm really curious, hoping that this reaches audiences with large Fleetwood Mac record collections to ever see if anybody's ever come across one or seen one for themselves in person and knows any more about it. So, um, but anyway, so that was a green one, and then I'm going to end the Tusk records with the Tusk live in concert, which was really a treat. This is a lot more from 1980, obviously, because they had gone out on tour, so a lot of stuff was cut. From the 79 and 1980 tour. But this was um, actually all the dates, most all the dates on the back of this say recorded in 1980, but it's Tusk, it's music from Tusk. And so this was Tusk in concert. This was another Record Store Day, I'm pretty sure. Or maybe just a release, but yeah. So that was it for Tusk. Kind of a simple collection for Tusk. Not too much, and funny enough, not one that I really seek out when I go out, but it's one that I play. I think that for my favorite album, I don't know, who doesn't love Rumors? It's a no-brainer. But I really skirt between Tusk, Mirage, and Tango in the Night. Mirage almost always wins for me, but sometimes it fluctuates between Tusk and Mirage, or Mirage and Tango. So it's just kind of in that area that are my favorites. But when I go through my stuff, I find that I have the least amount of Tusk items, unless maybe it comes to photos and stuff and articles. But as far as my music collection is concerned, I don't have a lot from Tusk. So I hope you enjoyed that. And again, I'm really curious to know if anybody has more stuff from it. Do you have more singles? Do you have something maybe I haven't seen, both in the 45s or the 12-inch? Have you seen that Sarah single from like England or France or anywhere else other than the USA and Japan? And have you seen that elusive, hard to find pastel tulip Tusk? I would love to know. So thank you for being with me. I'm glad I got this into 2 parts instead of having to make it 3. Next up, we'll go into again, I'll just keep calling it bric-a-brac, the stuff that Fleetwood Mac worked with other people in 1980, and then we'll go into the live album, and we'll see what happens after that. So thank you again for joining me, and everybody have a great night. Bye.